Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Music for a Book podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Britt.
And I'm Hannah.
And we are bringing you a very special Manuscript from the Vault episode.
Yes, we have the honor of hosting the USA Today bestselling author Tarah DeWitt, and she's written some great stories, including Rootbound, Funny Feelings, The Co-op, Savor It, and officially out now, Left of Forever. So welcome, Tarah, to the podcast.
Hi.
Thank you so much for having me.
Do you want to tell everyone a little bit about yourself before we get started?
Sure. I am, let's see, I've been writing now for about 5 years. I have 2 kids. I have 5 chickens. I've got 2 dogs, 2 cats. Have been born and raised in Northern California, and it's always important to differentiate between Northern and Southern California for whatever reason. And yeah, just all the normal stuff. Voracious reader and now writer.
Love it. And in this author episode, we're going to be chatting with Tarah about all things Left of Forever specifically, creative process, what's next, and of course, assigning a song to the book because, that's what we do.
Yep. And we will be talking about Left of Forever in 2 parts. First, a spoiler-free section for those of you that haven't read the book yet and want to know more about what to expect. And then a spoiler section where we will be openly discussing everything Renan Ellis in all of their glory.
Yay.
As we should.
I love that. You have that option.
Yes. Dear reader.
And so trigger warnings for this book, for Left of Forever, are going to be pregnancy loss, infertility, death of a parent, injury detail, explicit sexual content, grief. As always, you know yourself best, so please check the triggers before you dive in if you have any concerns.
Yes. And then, Tarah, do you want to give us like a little synopsis of Left of Forever in your own words, or just read the synopsis, whatever the vibe is?
Sure. I don't have one in front of me to read, but Left of Forever is about Renan Ellis. They were side characters in my last book, Savor It, but it can be read as a standalone. It is about a couple who got pregnant when they were young, when they were 17 and 18, ended up getting married, but now they're 34 and have been divorced for 5 years. The way things get kicked off is that Ellis is a firefighter. He's away on a campaign fire, and a lot of times on these big fires where a lot of different crews come from different areas, people will send packages and letters and things just to kind of keep up morale. And he picks a package out of the group, opens it, and realizes it's from his ex-wife. So they sort of begin a clandestine letter exchange, and where Ellis realizes that it's Ren, and Ren does not know it's him, and things just sort of get pried back open from there. And eventually, after some time, their son is headed off to college, and they plan a road trip to take him down and drop him off with his vehicle and all that. And Ellis convinces Ren to make some stops and do a road trip together on the way back to see if they can rekindle things.
And it is so good.
Oh, thank you.
In my opinion, a perfect second chance romance as someone who is a professed second chance romance skeptic. So
yes, you are.
Sometimes I feel like they should have not gotten back together. And I can confidently say that is not the case here.
Oh, that makes me happy. Yeah, I always crack up because I've written some of my tend to be like my least favorite tropes so far, and I keep doing it to myself. But when a second chance hits, it hits good.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm sure you have probably a million songs for Renan Ellis for Left of Forever. But what song choice did you bring today for your pick?
Oh gosh, there's so many. I think that I am a Swiftie, and so I always think of them when I hear Happiness and Evermore. But their music is huge for me, especially like when I am writing. I can't always listen to it when I'm literally typing, but I get so much inspiration from it. So there are a bunch of songs on their playlists that I think fit them perfectly. There's one in particular called How to Love You Today that I just imagined. I had this very like visceral reaction to it. I imagined Ellis like reading letters and headed back to Spoons after being away on that fire and like just realizing like, oh shit, I'm in love, still in love with my ex-wife, and I got to find a way to
Yeah.
get her back. So that's a good one too.
Love those. I think Happiness was my original song pick that I did when I did the review of the arc for this book because I just love it so much. We're both huge Swifties as well. But the song that I chose, it actually hit me today because I just feel like Ren and Ellis are the definition of like one of those grand loves, like the one true love of your life. So I ended up going with Iris by the Goo Goo Dolls because I just feel like it is so fitting for Ellis specifically.
I love that.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah, it just
Yes.
there's
Oh
they
my
feel
God,
like
that's a
that
great
grand
one.
love. Mhm.
Yes. Oh, that's a good one. I love that.
Yeah.
Love
I
them.
did pick two songs. My first one, I feel like it was like halfway through the book, and it came to me when I was in the shower for some reason, and I got out of the shower and had to listen to this song, and I was it's "Fix You," not the Coldplay version, but Casey Musgrave's cover of it,
Ooh.
and I just love it, like the vibe, everything. But then I had to pick a song off the New Moon soundtrack too because I'd be,
Of course.
But I did I Belong to You, the New Moon remix by Muse, because
Oh my
I felt like that
gosh.
was good.
That's
good one for them.
incredible.
Mhm.
Oh, those are top tier choices. I'm gonna listen to that Casey Musgraves version later and probably cry. I love it.
Yeah, it feels a little bit more like romantic, her version. So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought it felt
I
well.
will say
Yeah.
next book, Fix You, is on their playlist, the Coldplay version.
Ooh.
So yeah. little
Cannot wait.
little Easter egg there.
Little tidbit.
Nice. Okay. I'm
I can't
more
wait
excited now.
to be destroyed. The little we'll talk about it later too, but the little tidbits you've been posting in your broadcast channel have been killing me.
I pop
I love
off in
this.
there way too much. It gives me this a sense of power that I should not have.
Well, I turned on notifications for it because you delete
did?
stuff so fast. So I have to
I
make
do.
sure
I do delete stuff
that
so
I can
fast.
see it
And then all
before
of a sudden,
it's on.
sometimes I'm like, oh, but what if I have to delete that later? So I just, yeah, I got
Yeah, so we can catch it.
Yeah.
keep people on their toes.
100%. But now we're going to talk a little bit about, like, in a spoiler-free section about your process, Left to Forever, what people can expect, and then we'll get into some spoilers. So if you have not read Left to Forever, you are safe for now. And
Yes.
I figured we just start with something easy. Like, what does your writing process look like? Do you outline beat by beat? Do you go with the flow? What's your vibe?
Oh gosh, it's changed per every book. It has changed for every book.
Yeah.
This was probably my most organized in the beginning, and then was completely dismantled, and it didn't matter how organized it was. So, which does happen, but because of the way that the timeline works, I needed it to take place partially in fall, because that's when the biggest part of fire season is. Most people think it's summer because of the heat and all that. It's when everything's already been dried out from the heat, and then winds pick up and everything. But I needed to get them on their way to the road trip too. So, I had to do a prologue that showed where it was going.
Yeah.
I No matter what, no matter where the inspiration comes from, like if it's the plot, if I think like, oh, I want to write about people that have to renovate a house together, but they hate each other because of this, and how would you write a love story in reverse? No matter, and I think with Funny Feelings, what came to me first was the characters, and then I thought like, how could I, show this sort of character being loved and appreciated by this sort of character, and then the plot sort of formed up from there. So whether it's plot that comes first or like the characters, I always then go back and outline my characters. So I sort of figure out, I usually start from an Enneagram because I feel like that's the most basic way to start.
Yeah.
And then from there, I give them a star sign and kind of tweak as I go. And yeah, It always comes down to the characters for me, no matter where the initial inspiration comes from.
Yeah. And then as you're writing too, do you have any like writing rituals, songs, movies, drinks, snacks, anything like that that you have to like have or a go-to to get you into a good rhythm?
There's always a song for every book that ends up being on repeat, or like it even ends up just I end up going back to it in the car. Sometimes it's not even a song with words, it's just like a feeling. Snacks, I usually end up just eating like an absolute piece of trash by the end of it when I'm getting down to the wire. Literally, like my laptop is crusted with Cheeto dust by the end, and everything with caffeine. Like I've done so much damage. I'm trying to get much better about being good to my body, because I have realized if you don't have your
Yeah.
health, you don't have anything. You cannot push yourself late into the night forever and ever and do all that to yourself, yeah, because
Yeah.
it will catch up to you. So I'm trying to be better to myself. But it's really just varied. There is sort of a Pavlovian response now when I'm getting toward the end that I'm like, I need, I need 3 drinks. I need my water. I need my like bubbly drink of some kind. Needs to be either a Diet Coke or a sugar-free Red Bull. And then I need, tea by the end of the day. So it, there is, it's usually when I'm getting toward the end and feeling a little frantic about all of it, that's when everything, comes up. I will say my only other like consistent thing that has happened with every single book is as soon as I'm done, I absolutely rage clean my house and listen to music. And I don't listen to a book. I don't read or do anything for at least 2 weeks straight, because I need to like refill the tank in other ways. And usually it's because my house, even though, my husband and my kids do their best, by the end of a book, my house is absolute just chaos. But yeah,
Yeah.
I feel that.
I think that's why I called even my newsletter is called Mediocre Housekeeping, because that is the first thing that really
Yep.
all slips through the cracks around here.
Listen, that laptop has seen some stuff.
It's-
Seen some amazing stuff. That Cheeto dust baked in, I feel like probably adds some flavor to the characters at
It
this
has.
point.
There are a few keys
You know?
that are crunchy now, and yeah, I'm gonna need to retire for sure.
Soon enough.
It'll be
But
fine.
Left to Forever is an interconnected standalone to savor it. Did you always plan to write more within this world, or did it all just kind of start and bloom from Sage and Fisher?
It started with Sage and Fisher. I was notoriously anti-series for myself because, I have ADHD and I have ideas for things. I have ideas for other genres that I want to write in, and I really didn't want to be tied down. But as soon as I started writing Savor It, Ren Ellis jumped out at me, and I was kind of like, oh, okay. They kind of demanded to be written. And then even that happened with Silas and stuff too. So I kind of had to I think Savor It was the hardest book I've ever written, because I had to figure out what I wanted to drop about them and who I wanted them to be so far in advance, so that it would feel true later. Their stories would feel true to them later. And, I needed to sort of build up some lore about the town and stuff like that. I wanted to make sure I had very specific stories already laid out for them. But yeah, now that I've been doing it and I've been there, even just the idea of like leaving and saying goodbye makes me sad already. So I am glad that
Yeah.
I'm glad that they demanded to be written.
Yes, we're glad too.
Same.
What can people expect with Left to Forever in terms of vibes and tropes?
Oh gosh. I'm trying to think. I'm terrible at this. I tried to figure out all the little micro tropes and tropes. But sometimes I don't even realize they are happening until somebody tags me in something. I was like, oh, there was that. It is
Yeah.
I mean, there's an epistolary element to it. There, like, kind of a twist on a You've Got Mail twist. Obviously a second chance. I think that second chance between a formerly married couple sort of brings it to a new level. Because you don't, the intimacy that happens when you've lived with somebody, grown up with somebody, and, even raised a kid together. I think that if you have been in a relationship for a long time, or even like somebody reached out to me and said, like, as a kid of divorced parents who did not respect, like, were not, kind to each other, and did not, like,
Mhm.
give each other space because they would bring out the worst in each other. This book healed me because I saw how much they loved their son, that they put his
Yeah.
needs before their own. I mean, Ren and Ellis are two characters that do that for everybody in their life, and to the point that it became detrimental to their marriage. But the road trip is a lot of fun. I get to, pay homage to some of my favorite little spots along the California coastline. You can expect that it's my spiciest book, which I didn't set out for it to be that way. But, part of what they went through before in their marriage was something that was very physical. And so for me, they needed physical healing too. I think that anybody who has gone through infertility can sort of vouch for how infertility can kind of take the sex out of sex. And so for them to get to reconnect in that way was very important to me. I didn't realize how
Yeah.
spicy it was until after. When somebody was like, Jesus, it's like, oh, I guess, yeah. They're in their 30s. That was really lovely for me to write characters that were in their 30s, because, which it's not that different. The way, my husband and I talk to each other and playfully banter with each other and stuff hasn't changed that much we've been together since we were 17. It just takes on new layers and new inside jokes. I think you can expect two people that, again, have really had to been put into circumstances and, had certain things in their life happen where they have put the people they love first instead of themselves. But you get to watch them sort of break through that and have their time and reconnect with each other. And I think that they're probably as close to faded as you can get in a contemporary setting. In terms of tropes, there's a one bed situation that happens. There is a cooking class scene that ends up in something. Whenever you get to that part, you should know that actually happens to people, because it happened to me. That entire cooking class scene was based on a true story. I mean, obviously not the end result of it, but
But the other stuff.
yeah. That was that
Yep.
scene was fun to write. And yeah, you can just, there's a found, they're family, but it also feels like a found family because of the way that they've come together. And
Yep.
the siblings sort of meddle a little bit along the way, and that was fun. And gosh, I think that's about it. Everything else is,
Yeah.
happy surprise.
I feel like you can expect also to like cry your eyes out
Oh yeah,
the
you
entire
can't.
time.
I forget that
Like,
part. Yeah, definitely. Definitely
yeah,
that.
it started on like 4% in for me, and I don't think I stopped until the very end.
Yeah.
So,
My gosh.
Yep.
okay, but like there were a lot of happy tears. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't like I wasn't like, crying because it was terrible or anything.
No,
But like
yeah.
as soon as I opened it, I was like, holy shit, like this is gonna kill me.
Oh my gosh. And I think that, when I was just talking to my publisher about some of this. It's sort of an ode to how life can be like the villain in your story sometimes. Sometimes shit happens, and it makes relationships hard. communication is not
Yes.
as easy as everybody wants to believe it is, no matter how long you've been together. And sometimes
Mhm.
when you love somebody, you hold back in communicating and saying what you want to say and all that. So I think that it's sort of an ode to that. Like, even if you've never gone through infertility, you've never gone through a divorce, you didn't have a kid when you were like, they go through very specific
Yeah.
things. So I was very
Mhm.
prepared for this to not connect to people because, again, mid-30s, they had a baby when they were teenagers. They've been divorced for 5
Mhm.
years. They're taking their son to like, these are very specific things that are not
Mhm.
necessarily relatable to the audience I've had up until this point. But I think that what people, I'm so happy that people are seeing is that um, life gives you circumstances and shit stuff that makes communicating and loving and being who we want to be to the people we love hard, but it also gives you chances and it's about what you do with those chances and being intentional with them. And yeah, getting to see two people just really find their time and catch their stride again is uplifting, even though it is very
Yeah.
emotional.
It is, and it is specific, but like Hannah is married. Her daughter's getting ready to turn 1 here in a couple of months, and like
Oh,
I'm I'm single, no divorce, like no long-term relationships, and like we both connected with this book. Like we are
that
Mhm.
makes me so
opposite
happy.
sides of life, but yeah,
That makes me so happy.
it was so good. And this is obviously like not specifically related to Left of Forever, but like we had to ask, what is your personal favorite Taylor Swift era, and what era do you think other people think of you as?
Oh God, that's so hard. So I love the Reputation album. I'm still like, are we gonna get it? Are we gonna get
I know.
Reppy?
Yes.
But so I like, I haven't been listening to it lately or anything, but other than that, I mean, 1989 is just banger after banger. I would think that that's probably the one that either 1989 or Evermore is probably the one that other people would associate me with, probably just because of the songs that are in those that make them think of my books.
Hmm.
But I love
Yeah,
Reputation.
Mhm. Yep. I'm a rep girly for life.
she
Yeah,
is.
yeah,
Yeah. I'm
love,
TTPD like took over
love
my
it.
favorite child of folklore,
Yeah,
which I was really distraught about because I didn't think anything could take over folklore for me,
yeah,
but it really TTPD just got me. But I think people would tell me that I'm Midnights because I'm like spooky, witchy, like
yeah.
all zodiac star stuff. Like I feel like people would just look at me and be like, "Yeah, you're definitely Midnights." Like,
I think
yeah,
Midnight's is
yeah,
just banger after banger. Like, there are no skips for me on
yes,
that album too. I would say that is in terms of like the ones that I mean, yeah, TTPD, I've was like, I loved it the more and more I listened to it. Midnights, I was like, oh my God, I want to go back and
yep,
listen to that one again. Oh my God. Like, I was like panicked listening
Mhm.
to
yeah,
it. Um,
yes.
so yeah, I would say that Midnights is probably my second most listened to other than Reputation.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've listened to a lot of Taylor Swift in my house.
Yeah.
Champagne Problems is my daughter's lullaby.
Oh
So
my
she
God.
cannot go to sleep, nap, or bedtime without listening to Champagne Problems. So she has
What's your
taste,
daughter's
but
sign? What's her
she's a
sign?
Gemini.
Oh, ugh, I love Geminis. But I was gonna say, man, if she's a Pisces or a Cancer, you've got a real emo girly on your
I
hands
I
listening to this.
know.
Yeah. I was gonna say we're both Scorpios, so I feel like our
I love
birthdays are 1 day apart, and that's like we bonded in college over that. And so,
yes.
um, but like we're like the emotional Scorpio from our other signs, like
Yeah.
Yeah.
outwardly not so much, but
No,
I'm a
Cancer
I'm a
rising. So
Scorpio. I'm a Scorpio rising.
I'm a Leo rising, but I have a Taurus moon, so that shit keeps me way grounded.
There you go. Yeah, I have a Libra moon, so
Yeah.
I basically don't feel a feeling without analyzing it first, which is probably why I
So
became a
fun.
writer.
Probably.
you know. So we also have to mention spoons, not to be confused with forks.
Mhm.
Is our
Yeah.
general story setting aside from the road trip that takes place most of this book. But are you a fan of a certain story that's set in forks?
Oh, I
Because
think
you
that
reference the New Moon soundtrack.
yeah. Oh, yeah, it was so formative for my generation for sure. I think that again, I'm from the West Coast. I think that Oregon specifically has such like a small Oregon and Washington, the Pacific Northwest, they just have like a very specific vibe, and I like the almost the delightfully weird sort of degenerate Stars Hollow vibes of towns like that. So yeah, Forks, of course, it was very formative, and that soundtrack still hits.
I know. When I read Savor It, I texted Britt. I was like, I feel like Tara's a Twilight fan because Britt's never read Twilight.
I haven't read it. I haven't watched the movies. I haven't done anything.
Come on.
Nothing.
You
I-
have to.
We have plans to. I
Yes.
promise.
I bought tickets to
I-
the Twilight in concert
You
in
did.
November. I'm taking her too.
Yes.
Oh my God, I love it. My daughter was she was reading Breaking Dawn when we were on vacation in Mexico, and she was like, this it's really sad. I don't know if I want to keep reading it. Was it, I think it might have been New Moon when Edward had broken up with Bella, and I was like, oh my God, this is canon. I can't interfere. But
Yep.
yeah, it's formative. I can't watch the movies and stuff now. I get like secondhand embarrassment, but
I
I
know.
respect them, and you should
Yep.
too.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
It's
we'll
a
get her
cultural.
there.
It's a cultural movement. I just like missed
Exactly.
the train when it had come out, but like now it's like part of Hannah, so I have to experience
Yeah.
it with her.
Yes, absolutely. Oh my gosh.
All right. This is going to be our warning to listeners now. We're moving into spoilers, a little bit more detail about Left of Forever specifically. So if you haven't read it yet, first of all, like, I just need you to do that regardless. Like, I don't know why you're here.
Yeah.
You need to go read that book immediately, but pause the podcast and come back once you have read it, because specifically, I think everyone went feral in Savor It when we heard she's still a bird. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
And that was kind of the catalyst for everything. So
Yep. I know. Like I said before, when I started writing Savor It, Ren jumped out at me mainly because like when I was forming up who the characters were, when I was thinking about Sage, I was like, she's this person who would take on somebody's horse just so that he's in a neutral spot for her best friend, who's now her ex-sister-in-law, and her brother. And then I was kind of like, oh, there's a story there for sure. And then when I was writing the town hall scene, I was like, I was surprised by that too, but I just knew I had to drop like one little Easter egg, and yeah, I loved doing that. I knew that was coming.
yeah. And I think the first thing I said was, first of all, how dare you? Just because of how much I cried. But truly, this book was special, and this was something that like when you read a book and you get into it, you just like have that feeling like this is going to be something so good and so special.
Right.
And I literally was like, Hannah, I don't care what you're doing. This is available as a read now on NetGalley. And I need you to go get it right this second, like immediately.
Yes.
Oh
And then I was lucky enough to get the audiobook arc too.
Yes. Oh my God, it's so good, isn't it?
Because, oh my gosh, so good. Because with a 10-month-old right now, it's a hard time reading. So like the audiobook, I had my AirPod in, and I'm like playing with her cry. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm okay.
Oh my God. Yeah, they killed it. I have a hard time a lot of time listening to my own words like be read back to me.
Yeah.
But specifically with the Savor It audiobook and now this, they've like become my comfort listens. So I use them like a binky, like it's
It
like
was
my
good.
binky. I love
Yeah.
them. Megan did such an excellent job, and Connor is the perfect amount of like emotionally stilted, and it's just so lovely.
It was good. I know.
So
Britt's
excited.
gonna listen to it as soon as it releases on
Jen-
audio, because
like, as
I told
soon
her, I
as
was like,
it comes out.
You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
I heard
I'll reread. I
Connor
What was
say
that?
shit the first time, and I went and paused it.
I love that. No, I love audiobooks. I feel like you get such like an immersive world, but if I love the book, like I read Savor It and then bought the book and then immediately also listened to the audiobook right after because I was like I need to be immersed in this again. And so like I'm a rereading queen. If I love a book that becomes like you said it's like a comfort. Like it's like I'll watch
Yes.
Schitt's Creek for the 10th time. God twist my arm for the, I'll
Yeah.
figure it
Oh
out.
no. Yeah.
That's how I am with my books.
Yes. You know what? I've been fascinating a newsletter about like advocating for the reread because I know that there's a
Mhm.
million wonderful things to read in the world, but I have reread my favorite books, I don't know how many times, and I notice something new every time. I
Yes.
approach it and I have
Yes.
a feeling about it because of wherever wherever I'm at in my life at that moment.
Let's jump in to the letters.
Oh,
Because where
yes.
did you get that inspiration to kind of have that be part of their rekindling?
That this has been cooked for me for a couple of years now, because the very first seed of it was planted when I was filling out some for my daughter's school, one of my kids' school permission slips or whatever. Everything is like writable
Mhm.
PDFs normally now and everything, but
Yeah.
this was I was filling out and my husband looked and went, "That's your handwriting? Huh. I haven't seen it in a few years." And again, him and I have been together for since we were 17. And I realized like we don't handwrite a lot to each other. And neither of us has like a very distinctive handwriting. But I just
Yeah.
kept thinking like that could be really interesting. Even, not everybody recognizes people's handwriting. That's just not a reality of our world. And again, unless you have a very distinct style and all that.
Mhm.
But also, it was later that year, I was volunteering in my kids' class, putting together care packages for a big fire that was not too far away from where we are. These giant fires are a huge part of living on the West Coast, just a part of our reality. So
Yeah.
he said that his dad was there on this fire, and I kept thinking like, how cool would it be if his dad ended up getting his little care package thing. And so just little inklings of the idea started taking shape. I just thought like I really love when something feels unique and fresh. Like I will hang tight in like a wacky plot just to make as long as it like I don't know, I just crave things feeling new and fresh again.
Yeah.
I think that some sets start to feel the same, especially like in the small towns settings and all that. I didn't want
Yeah.
if I was gonna do a small town, if I was gonna do interconnected, I wanted to make sure every story I had for those characters felt unique and yeah. So I loved that, and I've other than the capitalist undertones, I really love You've Got It, You Pale. um,
Yeah.
and so I kept thinking like it, I would love to do like some sort of retelling one day. And it kind of clicked like, oh, that could be the way that I could do something with letters and all that. Yeah.
I love those letters.
And they're also like, for me, when it comes to second chance, be a why, like why now?
Mhm.
What is prying them
Yes.
open now? I'm a big
Mhm.
advocate for journaling. There's something about journaling in Savor It too. There's
Yeah.
I end up incorporating. Oh, I just saw my cat run after a squirrel. Sorry. um, yeah, and he got it, but the squirrel got away. Now the squirrel's up the tree. It's gonna follow it up the tree. I'm witnessing a murder, guys. Oh Jesus.
This is going to be in the
Anyway,
next book somehow.
somehow. For good sakes. Yeah, I let me get back on track. Love stories, not murder.
Love not murder.
Love not murder. What was I saying? What was I talking about? Oh, the written
Yeah.
journaling
Yeah.
and writing something down. There's something about I've learned it through writing myself. There's something about the distance between like your brain and your hand and putting something on paper that sort
Yeah.
of helps you sort through things. And so I really believe that could be a lovely way to connect, but there needed to be a sort of safe anonymity to it too, because they were two people that were so self-contained and again put their own feelings second for so long that there had to be sort of a really individual channel for them to feel safe, putting them all out there through. So for me, that was a good way, again, to pry them open. And I really wanted to come up with a unique way to include some flashbacks and to include unique ways of communicating. My husband and I, sometimes when we are in an argument, the thing that I want to say, I know will not be productive to the argument. It'll just be mean, and it'll just be, I realize that about myself, and I have to own that. So sometimes, instead of having that fight out, I'll wait on it, and then if I can organize my thoughts, and sometimes it is easier to like have a discussion over text. Again, I don't care if you live together forever and you've been together forever. If you can get your thoughts out in a more concise, kind, productive way via a text message and have a discussion later, you should do that. So I really wanted to have a little ode in there to unique communication. Like even when they're on the trip with each other, they kind of, Ren lets Ellis read her journal. Ellis sends her like an email, even though they're in rooms next to each other. Again, it creates sort of a safe space for communication for two people who have not always felt like their needs should be prioritized and communicated.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in your world of spoons, what character do you feel like you see yourself the most in? Like it can be one that's not out yet. It can be, between Save It, Left It Forever. Do you have one person and that feels like your soul tie character?
Oh God, Silas. Definitely. Definitely. He's and sometimes I will say this. It is hardest to write the characters that you are the most like. It is easier to write characters that are a little more aspirational for you and what you want yourself to be, or what ran into that with Favorite. I was Fisher. I was trudging through burnout and feeling I was beating myself up about it, but I wanted to be Sage so badly. I still want to be Sage, but yeah, Ren. There's always going to be a little piece of you in all of that, and it's definitely she wants to be part of something that's bigger than herself, and I wants to feel included in family and community and all that. And that's part of why I started writing. And that's one of my favorite parts about my journey so far, people that I've found along the way. Yeah, I think that I could relate to all of them, but Silas is probably the one that, if I'm being honest with myself, is who I'm the most, but which I can't wait for people to get to know. He's so much more than what he seems to be.
I love, but even the bits that we get to, like him and Fisher together, actually kill me. Their relationship is so unbelievably iconic. The two of them,
they love each other so much, but they will never they love each other so much. But I'm really proud of their dynamic because it's been the exact same way from day one, from when they showed up at the house to when Fisher called 911 for the Roomba.
For the Roomba,
also based on a true story. Happened to my aunt. But
that's so funny.
Yeah, my poor aunt. But yeah, when Silas stole the cookies that were at the house, and then Fisher tries to grab them back. It has the same dynamic from day one, and we get a lot of that in Silas' book too.
Can't wait.
So excited for that.
So you mentioned it a little bit earlier, but what made you choose the specific places for the road trip? And what do they hold anything personal meanings for you?
Yeah, so I knew I wanted Sam to go to Davis, and specifically for vitnology, because it's something that I think it's a bit of Northern California pride that we have like a winery program at a university
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
that's very well renowned. And so then I had to sort of pick places that would make sense for them to go to. But I did this with Spoons. Spoons is a mishmash of places in Oregon and along the northern, even like the very northern California coast. Part of it is based on Mendocino, California. So I kind of mishmashed places into, you know, my favorites, but I like every stop is based on somewhere real, at least, even if it's not named the same way. But I just wanted them to sort of make sense taking the road back. And again, I loved the idea of them getting to pop over to Santa Cruz. Santa Cruz holds a big chunk of my heart. I think I think it has just such a specific vibe that I haven't experienced anywhere else, because there is Silicon Valley right there, and it's got a little bit of coast. So there's Bay Area and coast and like the tech world, and then there's just beach bum surfer dudes that too. So it's just such a funky culture mishmash over there, and I really love it.
Yeah.
And I loved the idea of them getting to cross paths with some of my personal favorite characters from, other stories I've written.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I wanted them to go again. I love Northern California. I wanted them to get to go to a winery and to do that. And then with going to Mendocino County and all that, I knew I wanted them to be able to go to one of those like glamping style places.
Yeah.
So I just sort of picked them and drew them down that way. Again, this is a spoiler. We're in the spoiler section. But,
We're in spoiler territory. Yep.
I wanted them to be able to mimic some of the things that Ren mentioned in her letter and stuff too.
Yeah.
So, because I think that that's something beautiful that we deal with in life. Like, again, my husband and I got married young, had kids young and all that. And so when we've taught traveling and big things like that, like that's not necessarily, getting to go to Europe and do all these big, huge, very expensive things it's not necessarily in the cards, but like everyday life can feel just as romantic. And when you think about it, like they stop in some beautiful places and they do some beautiful things, but they're not doing anything that's super like inaccessible. Have some escapism, but really rediscover how much they love about their regular mundane lives along the way.
Yeah. And then we talked a little bit about like the ice cream cooking class chili debacle earlier, which was so wonderful. I'm sure, like you said, that was so fun to write. Do you have like a favorite moment, chapter, or anything specifically in Left of Forever that like when you think about like this is the moment that I connect the most with as the author?
Oh gosh. Yeah, I loved writing that scene. Specifically, they were already making good strides and everything, but I needed to write something where they would be introduced into some chaos, and it had to feel like there were just chaotic things happening around them. And
Yeah.
it's symbolic of life, right? Like all this shit going on around you and making your relationships hard. And Ellis kind of shut down. He's like, just give me a minute. Like, and he kind of closes Ren away this time. Like, what are you going to do in those situations? Ren was like, no, let me help you. And then obviously that leads into a very unique way of helping. But it wasn't just comedic or sexual for me when I was writing. It needed to illustrate something, and I think those are my favorite parts when people are like, "How did I laughed and cried on the same page?" And I'm like, I don't mean to do that.
Yep.
But that's usually I realize later, like, well, that was the intention behind doing all that. I do love how that part came together. Other than that, I really love when Ren wakes up in the hotel and like looks out her window and sees that Ellis is by the pool, like reading her journal, and she's giddy about it. I got butterflies in my stomach, like hearing that on the audiobook for the first time. Like, oh my, he's actually studying. He's like taking it seriously.
Yes.
Can you imagine this person that you've been with even though you've been apart for 5 years, he could have just been like, what do I need to do to get her back? I'm going to do what she tells me to do. No, he's trying to learn, and he's known her since for his
Yes.
entire life, and he still wants to know her more. And that is,
Yeah.
I'm getting emotional just like thinking
yeah,
about them.
No,
yeah,
genuinely.
that to me is so romantic. And she's like, and like getting to rediscover how attracted she is to him still. Like she's hits her head on
Yes.
the window, like trying to look out and see him and stuff. I love that it seems like a very understated part, but to me, it was pivotal, and I love that little vignettes or whatever.
Yeah. And love those moments. The quote that I've been seeing everyone post about is the all I know is if I found out heaven was real and got there first, I'd hang back in the waiting room and save you a seat, which is just absolutely everything. One part in particular for Ren that connected to me was when she was talking about like reflecting on the changes in her body, and how she's like been able to like, I think it's love my body in earnest, and specifically the love I have for myself physically and the scars I bear have all been earned. And like I highlighted that whole section when I was reading the arc of it, but and I think it hit harder to learning as the story unraveled with the infertility, all of the things that they went through, kind of like what brought it to the end. And I feel like the way that I describe this book to people is just like two wholly messy, completely imperfect people loving each other through it all when the timing is right. And like it's just I love reading about messy people, like real messy people that have real problems and how they can overcome those challenges, because obviously it's fiction and we want to escape, but there's like such beauty in seeing yourself in characters that like you truly don't really have anything in common with, but you can see that we all have that like thread tying us together.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
I so many highlights.
Thank you. That part is super important to me. And I got emotional hearing you talk about it too, just because I think that that's something beautiful that happens as we get older too. We almost said we are one with our own body and not just thinking of it as this separate entity for brains and our hearts and
Yes.
souls and all that, where we're judging it every time we look in the mirror and how it looks and like you just start to realize like this is what is carrying me through life, and this is what it
Yes.
is. And like especially after you have kids and you change and everything, I really and again, that was why I think that was part of why some of this ended up becoming important in the story too, because they have grown into themselves in every way, and they've had the space to. I almost believe that their story is better because they were apart for 5 years. Like I think that
Yes.
they had to take that time away to really be able to appreciate what they gave to each other. Yeah, I love that, and I love that you felt that way about them, because I that's one thing I'm not interested in reading about characters that feel perfect from page one. I want to watch them question their own decision, to maybe not make all the right ones, because we don't in real life, and I want them to be loved anyway, and to love anyway. I think it's a lie when people say you have to work on yourself before you can love somebody else. You can be doing both. Like you can be doing both.
Yeah.
You have to love yourself too, but imperfect and people and who aren't whole still can be loved.
Yeah. And I think sometimes you can like see the love in yourself, like reflected in the love you give to other people. And it's just like that connection that you have of maybe I don't love myself 100% today, but like I see the way that like my friends talk about me, my family, my things like that. And that can almost strengthen like the relationship you have with yourself.
Yep.
And yeah, I could talk about it forever. So
yeah.
I know. I went through to see what I highlighted. I forgot that I like the first 20% I read, then the last 80 I listened to. But I only highlighted one thing. It's not very emotional, but it's the untamed, badass, highly effective people who've mastered the power of now, presumably after they wash their face.
Yes.
And I just thought that was hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, all those books.
Oh, yeah. Me and self-help have a really complicated, kind of toxic relationship. I don't know if you caught that in there. Because I don't, I think that I love the idea of people wanting to learn. I mean, that's what I've worked through in therapy and in writing is like, why do I feel this way, and why do I make these decisions, and why is my reaction to this, and
Mhm.
why can't I I know what I'm supposed to do. I know that I'll feel better. Go do this. Why can't I just get my shit together? But I
Yeah.
think that a lot of self-help is really gimmicky and tells you that, and if you do this, you and learn to love yourself, girl boss, you're not going to be able,
Yeah.
I have a
Yep.
word.
Stop apologizing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
And
Yeah,
it's like or
exactly.
everyone
that.
has a key to unlock
I
like
think
the
more
key
people
to
should
success.
apologize, more people should apologize actually at all times.
Yeah. Perhaps like I feel like we're losing the empathy track here. I think that we all need to just like oh no. I'm for the self-help stuff is what I'm talking about. Like I feel like people are like, oh, it's you and only you that matters. Like, and you can tell everyone else, like, I don't owe you anything. I'm gonna take myself all the way to the top. And like
and we're
maybe
for being as connected
we
are now for being as constantly connected as we all literally can be, like community has sort of disappeared. And because it's all like we all have a platform, and so we all I think it's something that I'm really aware of and nervous of when it comes to like my kids and they're growing up with too, is you never want them to feel like their feelings and thoughts and everything aren't important. They are, but I think that sometimes social media specifically makes it so everybody thinks that you have to have a thought and share it on everything at all times, and you better think the right way at all times. You better I don't it just feels, some of it feels too, we're catering our entire society to the individual and not to the community anymore. And it's
there a lot of outside thoughts, like a lot of outside thoughts should have remained inside thoughts. And I'm
get
really
the group chat, girl. Yeah
exactly. Or a therapist, whichever comes first.
Group chat with your therapist.
That's too.
But let's talk quickly about our songs, because music is also great therapy. So Tara, do you want to start with a couple highlights from your song?
Oh gosh. So Happiness, I think there are just the first opening lyrics when they talk about there'll be happiness after you and there was happiness because of you. I think that that's just a really beautiful thought, that even if, Ren and Ellis like never got back together, there was happiness because of you. Like you brought so much happiness to my life, and I will find this. One of my other favorite quotes in there is like, yes, I felt happiness, but it was kind of like feeling the sun through a window. Like it's warm, it's sunshine, and it's there. You feel it through the glass, but it's not the same as like going outside, feeling it on your skin. And I think that our relationship with happiness changes as we get older and it evolves. But especially when it comes to love like that, sometimes it's comfortable to settle first for a kind of a love that makes you feel safely warm through, instead of that sunshine love and directly on your skin type thing. But I just there's also a part in there about like watching all their shit be divided up, and I think that is one of the most heartbreaking things about divorce, is like you realize you can watch a whole life that has been built together just be reduced down into like, how do we split how do we divide all this stuff up? What do we do for the holidays? What do we so that one really rocks my shit every time I hear it.
It's such a good song. And my game time decision today when I picked Iris, it's the first like, and I give up forever to touch you because I know that you feel me somehow. You're the closest to heaven that I'll ever be, and I don't want to go home right now. Like that's Ellis. Like this is Ellis's like proclamation. And if we want to get real specific, it's the one where like they're singing in the rain, like the iconic rain show of Iris. Like that's the moment.
Oh my god, I'm gonna YouTube that later.
Yes, it hits. But the like, I just want you to know who I am, and when everything's made to be broken, I just want you to know who I am. And you said it too. Like he's learning her. He wants to get to know her better. And their love to me, like Hannah and I think we're very cinematic and like we think in like movies and stuff.
Yeah.
And if there was ever like a movie of Left of Forever, like Iris would play as like the end credit songs, which is, just the dream. But that's the vibe that I got from that one.
Oh, I would love that. Maybe
So
someday.
Right. Now part of me wants to save Fix You for the next book, but anyway, but I picked it originally.
It's a good one
because it's like, when you love someone but it goes to waste, could it be worse? And just like lights will guide you home and ignite your bones, and I will try to fix you. And I just feel like it just like them coming back together brings that in.
I got chills. Yeah.
And then it's just, and like hearing Casey Musgraves sing it too, like I love her. And I just feel like it's from like Ren's perspective instead too, like from the female side of things with her version, that I think is just so good. So
good. That's beautiful. Absolutely. I see that. I am excited for you to hear it again in the context of the next book too. I will say, I feel like I have to warn people that the next book, I cried more than I did writing Left of Forever, but I also laughed more. I feel like it's somehow my saddest and funniest book.
Cannot wait.
I was gonna say, like, Left of Forever was like real sad, but I'm in it. I'm here for the long haul. Now, but in the meantime, I saw Rootbound is getting a facelift, and the cover is beautiful. Do we have like a projected re-release on Rootbound?
I don't yet. Right now, because I prioritize finishing the draft that I'm finishing right now. I don't think Rootbound will be out until 2026, but I don't know a month yet because it got more than a facelift. It's going through a rewrite like the co-op did, which was a very heavy rewrite. So it'll feel, like a fresh book.
Are there any plans to do the same thing for Funny Feelings?
Not as of now. I don't think. That girl's out. She's out in all formats, and I think she's there to stay. I would love to have a matching cover of Funny Feelings at one point, but I don't know if there are any plans for it or not.
Totally. And then I put in here specifically, thanks to your feral and destructive teasers in your Instagram channel. We know that Silas's book is being worked on. And then do we have anything else coming from the Tarah universe? Or are we just focusing right now on our getting through Silas's here?
We're just focusing on getting through Silas's for now. And I don't know if there's something, hopefully there's something else to announce at some point this year, but I can't confirm anything yet. So we'll see.
Totally fair.
We didn't add this in, but we are going to Romance Con.
Which we are.
Yay. So
I can't
we will see you in September.
So excited.
Amazing. I can't wait. Yes,
it was an impulse buy. We said, fuck it, and bought tickets.
Good. I'm so glad. And I feel like I don't always, with the Left of Forever tour, this will be the first time I get all the way to the East Coast. So I'm excited. I rarely get to the middle of the country unless it's like St. Louis. And so I am really excited that I'll be in a new place.
We can't wait.
Yes.
And then was there anything else that you wanted to add about Left of Forever? Anything else for the readers before we do our little wrap up here?
Oh God, I think we covered a lot. I'm excited for people to read it, and I'm excited that people are loving it the way they're loving it so far.
Beautiful. And so a huge thank you to you, Tarah, for joining us today. Please be sure to read Left of Forever, savor it. Literally anything that Tarah has written, just please go read it. That would be amazing.
Thank you.
And then where can everyone find you?
Yeah.
And where can everyone find you and support you?
I'm most active on Instagram, but if you want to sign up for my newsletter, I'm getting better about doing that. You can sign up through my website, which is just TarahDeWitt.com, and I'm on Threads and stuff too.
Perfect.
Yes. And so are we. So follow us on Instagram, Patreon, TikTok, and give us your book recs on social. We want to know what you're reading and what you want us to cover.
Yes. And we will see you next Wednesday, May 28th, for our fourth and final spring mixtape episode featuring some recommendations for beach reads, some romance beach reads, and some romance releases.
And remember, keep reading with kindness.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, thank you.